Perhaps the biggest problem we see in with anyone trying a carnivore diet for the first time, and this could probably be equally true for keto diets as well. The biggest problem we often see is that for some people, they don't get the advertised results. In fact, they get the opposite. Let me give you an example of this. You see people who will frequently come in and follow the rules of the diet to a T, and it will fail spectacularly for them. Not because they had a cheat, not because they decided that once a week they're going to take a day off and eat a Twinkie or something. They had problems because their body reacted extremely differently to the diet than is normal. Let me give you a concrete example. In one of the Facebook carnivore groups, of which there are many, and most of them are not even really carnivore, despite carnivore being in their name, because people come in and try to preach the sort of the nutrition gospel of why you should actually eat plants for some reason in a carnivore group. But regardless of that, if you're in any of these groups, you've seen these posts. Unfortunately, all too often. Hi, my name is whatever, and I started the carnivore diet because I weigh 380 pounds and I need to lose a whole lot of weight, and I have all these inflammation problems, joint problems, we'll say, and digestive problems and all these things. And I started the carnivore diet. And I followed the rules. I did exactly as, influencer X said. I ate only beef, butter, bacon, eggs, and I ate until I was so full that I wanted to sleep. And I ate once or twice a day. And I did this for 3 weeks. And now I weigh, instead of 380 pounds, I weigh 395 pounds. I have gained weight. I haven't lost anything. Yeah, the inflammation has died down, but I'm getting fatter. And I know it's body fat that I'm putting on because my clothes don't fit anymore. I'm not exercising, so I'm not gaining muscle mass. Please help. Have you seen those posts? I have. And they get ignored. In fact, not only do they get ignored by people, they often are responded to with some of the worst advice I've ever seen, or worst explanations. My favorite example, clearly given by people who don't exercise, saying your body is putting on muscle mass. Unless this person has an abnormally low amount of body muscle mass, they're probably not putting on muscle, because it takes work to put on muscle. A lot of work. And here's the thing. People who are overweight tend to carry extra muscle mass in like their calves and other places to support all that extra body fat. Logical, right? You ever heard of bodybuilders talking about having fat guy calves? I go to the gym, I work legs, I don't work my calves because I've carried a whole lot of extra weight most of my life. They don't really need the help. But most people are not going to put on muscle mass. In fact, the vast majority, unless they stimulate those muscles and do it in a kind of a controlled, repetitive manner with an actual program in mind, and then feed their body appropriately afterwards. That's sort of the whole point of exercise. Telling people they're going to gain, that their body's just putting on muscle mass magically because they stopped eating plants, is doing them a great disservice. Another favorite bad response I see for this is your bones are getting denser. Maybe, unlikely, extremely unlikely. What's happening here with these people who are experiencing this is that if they got that overweight, their leptin and ghrelin signaling, their hunger and satiety signaling is probably broken. Their body has a hard time telling them when to stop eating because they just annihilated that hormonal signaling through carbohydrate consumption and overeating and emotional eating and binge eating and all the other things that we know is bad, yet we all know, and most of us have done ourselves. So here comes the bad advice for them. Just keep doing what you're doing. You have to understand, there's a massive difference between somebody who is like 20 or 40 pounds overweight and someone who is 200 pounds overweight, 250 pounds overweight. Imagine if that 395-pound person I was using as an example was a 5'3" female. They exist, and they're desperate. I know because I see them in these social media groups, and they never get good advice. My point with this is that one-size-fits-all approaches to anything don't work. And what brought this on was somebody gave the rote response in a carnivore group to somebody saying that they were trying to lose weight. And their rote response was, well, carnivore is not a weight loss diet. Carnivore is a lot of different kinds of diets. It has a lot of different ways of doing this. If you don't believe me, most people do beef, butter, bacon, eggs, eat till full. Maybe they add some spices. Maybe they drink coffee, but that's generally the game plan. You stick to mostly beef, some chicken wings once in a while. Maybe you want a pork sausage once in a while or something, as long as it's clean. But I just described the vast majority of how ways people do the carnivore diet. And of course, there are exceptions based on, regional and ethnic tastes and things. But generally speaking, that's how you do it. But there are people who this does not work for whatever reason. And when people say it's not a cool weight loss diet, they're really torpedoing them. They're really telling them that that's not true. They're giving them terrible advice because, look, the Carnivore Quest channel exists, okay? Telling people that it's not a weight loss diet is objectively not true because the folks over there have lost a ton of weight themselves on a carnivore diet. I'm going to do my video, finally do my video soon on how I lost 150 pounds in a relatively short period of time. And carnivore was part of that journey for weight loss because my metabolic damage that I have, as far as I can tell, is limited to the hormonal signaling. That's it. But I found a way around it and I lost a lot of weight doing it. And one size does not fit all. Sometimes you get someone asking a question, it's not the best formulated question. They're trying to solve a problem, and then they get all sorts of weird curveball advice. Let me give you another example of another way that carnivore is not a one-size-fits-all approach. There's a Facebook group called Carnivore Bodybuilding. Go check that group out sometime. Do a search. Facebook groups have a little search bar. You can go search for the topic and look up energy drinks. There are a lot of people in that group who drink things that none of the rest of us would ever consider drinking and are carnivore. They're talking about Bang energy drinks and Monster and things because I use them as pre-workouts. My brief experiment with that early in my carnivore diet was that I started drinking them and my weight loss stopped entirely. It just died. And within a few days of not drinking them anymore, after that experiment blew up in my face, guess what happened? The weight started coming off again. So I can't have those things. And in hindsight, the more I learn about, natural flavors and artificial sweeteners, the less I want those things. I don't want them anymore. The last time I had them made me feel like crap, honestly. But for those guys, it works. And you can't tell me they're not in good shape. I mean, these guys are, a lot of these guys are toting 12% or less body fat, packing on muscle mass on a carnivore diet or on Dr. Saladino's animal-based diet while pounding energy drinks. Don't know what to say about that, but they exist. They have different needs than you and I. A 395-pound woman has different needs than you or I. The person whose hormonal signaling is so broken that they could easily eat 6 pounds of beef in a day until they find it where they go from hungry to nauseous, almost like somebody flipped a switch. Those people exist. When trying to help them, as just a regular carnivore practitioner, my best advice for you would be ask questions. How much are they eating? There's a reason people do track. And I'm not saying track in this case to, start restricting, although that person may have to. Find out how much they're eating. If they're eating 6 pounds of beef a day, and they're eating mostly fatty beef, getting 70% of their calories from fat a day, guess what happens? The person is probably not going to lose the weight they're wanting. And for whatever reason, they're packing on weight, even though eating fat should not make you fat. We know that. The science says that it's some hormonal reaction but from eating carbs that do it. But they're still gaining weight. They're not, eating. If they're telling the truth, they're not eating things they shouldn't be eating. So let me know what you thought of this in the comments. Have you seen this kind of terrible advice given before? What do you do when you see it? Do you just let it pass? I'm just curious. I always think of one of the things that got me into the carnivore diet really was that there seems to be an inbuilt community, the carnivore tribe. You may have heard of it. I'm curious if you've seen this stuff, and how you handle it. So let me know in the comments, please. And like and subscribe if you haven't. It really does help. As sharing this on social media, that helps a lot as well. I'm Anthony Stine, the Practical Carnivore. Thanks for watching.